I like these times. I hope you like these times. I want to tell you a story, if that's all right this morning. Okay? This story is called Bobby and the Pumpkin Patch. First things first, just a second. Let it be known to everyone here, any relation by name or reference to someone named Bob or Bobby is by pure coincidence. All right? There was a boy named Bobby, and he was 8 or 9, something like that. And it was time for the county fair. And he saw all the rides and the carnival rides and all the fun things coming, and they were going to have cotton candy machines and hot dogs and elephant ears. And oh man, he wanted to go to the county fair, and he wanted to ride all the rides, and but you know, he had a problem. He didn't have enough money for a ticket to get in, ride all the rides. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So he asked his grandpa, he said, Pap, that's what he called it, Pap, you got any money for me to go to the fair? And his grandpa, well, I don't have any money I'll give you, but I'll pay you if you do some work for me. That'll be enough to get you in the fair. Now, you see, that family had a great big roadside stand, and they sold vegetables and things to the neighborhood. As they'd come by, they'd sell all their produce and things from the garden. Well, it was time to plant the pumpkin patch. They had about 5 acres, and it was all plowed, and it had all been raked in these beautiful rows, the little furrows all cut, and everything was all set. And Grandpa said, Bobby, if you'll take this sack, kind of a bag of fabric bag, put it over your shoulder, and it's got clear full of pumpkin seeds. So what I want you to do is I want you to drop a pumpkin seed in that furrow, in that row, and push a little dirt over it. Take a step, put a pumpkin seed in, put a little dirt over it, step on it just a little, and then take another step, put a pumpkin seed in, until this whole thing is seeded with pumpkin seeds. Use up all that whole bag of pumpkin seeds. You understand what needs to be done? Yep. And when you're done, and all the pumpkin seeds are out of the bag, I'll give you the money to go to the fair. And it's hot dogs and elephant ears for everybody. So Bobby started down through there. It was a nice warm day. And pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step. And then after about the first row, he looked across there and he said, man, there's a lot of these rows. There must be 100 rows. That's a big lot. Okay, so he started back the second row. Pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, step. After he got done with the second row, he looked at his bag and it looked like it had just as many pumpkin seeds in it as they started with. Beginning to get a little concerned. I don't think I'm going to get all these pumpkin seeds out of this bag and in the ground before the fair starts. So he decided he was going to speed things up a little bit. So on the third row, he went pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, step, pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, step. Then it was pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed, step, and then pumpkin seed, pumpkin seed. And pretty soon, it was almost one continuous row of pumpkin seeds, and the bag was still pretty full. Oh, man, that bag's going to last forever. Finally, about halfway down the third row, he said, we got to speed this thing up. So he got down on his hands and knees, and he made a bit of a hole. Opened it up just a little bit more, and he took the whole bag, and he poured all the pumpkin seeds down in that hole, pushed the dirt back over it, and said, there, now they're all planted. It's time to go to the fair. So he went to his pap, and he said, Pap, I'm all done. Oh, good. Man, he paid him his money so he could go to the fair, and they had a wonderful time. Now, a couple months later, it was time to harvest the pumpkin seeds. It was just about Thanksgiving time for pumpkin pie and all the other kinds of things. And so Grandpa took Bobby out to the pumpkin patch. And they looked down along the first row. Oh, there were nice-sized pumpkins along there. Good, healthy vines. Everything was looking great. Grandpa said, boy, you did a good job. And they got to the second row, and good, strong pumpkin vines. I mean, big pumpkins. That was a great year for pumpkins. Then they got to the third line. Pap said, Bobby, these pumpkins look sick. They're all yellow, only little tiny vines, not these big green, not little, big leaves, just little leaves and all kind of. What happened to these pumpkins? We must have had bad seed. Walked on down. Pretty soon they kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker looking. And finally they got down about halfway down the third row, and there was this tangle of dead pumpkin sprouts. Just in a mass. Didn't produce anything. Pap said, Bobby, what do you suppose happened here? And finally, Bobby said, Pap, I didn't do what you told me to. I was in a hurry to get to the fair. Pap said, yeah, I know. I came out here the next day and I saw what had happened. I went ahead and planted the rest of the pumpkin patch myself. But he said, I wanted you to understand, every farmer, every person who owns a garden or anything, has about 40 summers to plant, to take care of, and harvest. And if you don't learn the lessons that have to be learned early, you could end up spending 40 summers 40 separate harvests, and then realize that you just wasted all of your time and energy. It didn't amount to anything. He said, Bobby, this is your first summer as a gardener, as a planter, as a farmer. And I wanted you to learn the most important lesson of all. You got to do it right every time. You have to do what's right every time. And if you decide to cut corners, you decide to compromise, do it your own way and take care of your own desire, your own thing you want to accomplish, and you don't look at the big deal you're doing, you'll end up with nothing. Just like this pumpkin patch here on row number 3. It was just a waste of time because nothing's going to happen that's good out of this. So he said, Bobby, I want you to spend every minute that you're doing what you're supposed to do, making your very best effort, following it through, doing it well. Because look at this beautiful pumpkin patch. Look at all these huge pumpkins. If you do it right, the harvest is wonderful. You do it wrong, and all you've done is waste your time. Could you have a word of prayer with me? Dear Jesus, we realize that sometimes we get anxious, get too eager. We realize that doing it the easy way is faster. Seems like it's better. Lets us do the things we want to do more quickly. Lets us play when we need to, and lets us do the things that we enjoy doing more. But there isn't any real compromise. What we plant is what we harvest. What we invest in is what we get our return from. And we ask, Lord, that the kids coming in this morning to hear the children's chat will realize that Bobby learned a lesson. He couldn't have learned any other way. He had to look up into his grandfather's eyes and realize he hadn't done what he promised. And Grandpap loved him. Didn't scold, but he did show him that there is a better way, even if it seems harder at the time. We ask, Lord, that you'll let us realize that for ourselves, and we'll be able to say thank you for learning that lesson early in our lives so that we don't have to waste too many summers, too many planting times, and too many harvests before we learn the lesson of life. We want to do it your way and give you the praise and honor. Amen. Thank you for coming to share with me.